All right, Rahul Kohli, man. This is the interview of the year. This is the one that I've been pursuing for I think almost 2 years now.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's been quite an adventure. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. Well, as in us, I mean me because Steph is gone for another interview. Thanks, Steph. Uh, but you just woke up probably like a half hour ago to honking
Mm.
horns in the middle of Canada.
Mhm.
How you doing? How you holding?
I'm characteristically angry, but to be honest, I wake up angry all the time. It's just part of my thing. But yeah, they for the last 2 weekends, there's been a freedom convoy or some bollocks, and it's right downtown. So it's truckers honking and people outside protesting. I think it's COVID related, I'm sure, but
Yeah,
yeah. So it's a nice wake up.
it's just
Um,
it's either COVID related or it's a lack of Funko Pops for the Book of Boba Fett. People
oh
are just
no, it
trying to
might be
get.
that one. You're right. Yeah, that sounds like that probably
Well,
is it. Yeah,
I'm glad you're hopefully sipping on coffee or something that'll wake you up
I
a little
am.
bit
Yeah.
and you're comfortable. But if you wouldn't mind telling our listeners, man, who you are and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, my name's Rahul Kohli, and I'm an actor. I was born in England, London, and I've been acting since I was, I don't know, 18, 19. But my first real kind of uh, dent I made or climb up the rung of the ladder was iZombie, which I started when I was about 28. Did that for about 5 years, and other projects sort of came in on the back of that. Yeah, so that's where I'm at the moment.
And now you have this huge cult following after Midnight Mass of sexy Sheriff Hassan
The sheriff, yeah.
caricatures.
Yeah, it's quite well. It's. I have a very funny following because it's a very divided following,
Hmm,
which makes sense because I've never felt like I was one thing. So there's my iZombie group in there, and then there's like Rooster Teeth Funhouse type
yeah,
from when I used to collaborate with them, and they made up a good portion of that. And then there was the young Stan Twitter when I did Bly Manor, and then the older generation came in for Midnight Mass, and then there's loads of hobbyists for every miniature and Star Wars fans and gaming fans, and so it's a nice it's a nice community. So there's always if I put whether I'm posting a thirst trap or a picture of a freshly painted ultramarine from Warhammer, it all gets supported by there's always someone out there to stroke my ego.
it's a very dynamic social media
Hmm.
account. That's for sure. It's either miniatures, fan creations, and then like this morning, you waking up to the sounds of this honking bullshit, and
And
just
swearing and being a yeah, yeah. Oh, I don't know, like my social media uh, comes up a lot, um, whether I'm at work or amongst peers or family, and I don't know. So I go back and forth with it because, like, I mean,
yeah,
sometimes I defend it because I'm like, I'm not pretending. I just I'm just me. I'm not trying to be a role model. I'm not trying to be anything. If I'm flawed and I'm human and shit pisses me off, and I'll say it. And when I'm genuinely happy, I'm happy. And when I'm genuinely touched by the reception of something, I am. When I say watch something I'm in, I mean it because I don't do it for all my other shows. So I try to create, or I have created, a level of trust. I believe. I think people do think that I am authentic, and when I say something, I mean it. But at the same time, because I'm up against at this point a lot of fake um, uh, people who hide their politics or their feelings towards things or their narcissism, whatever, and and keep it clean. I look terrible compared to my peers. But then when you go and have a cigarette with one of my peers and they say something transphobic, and you're like, fucking hell, and the
Yeah.
internet has no idea you're a piece of shit. I prefer to just lay it on the line. So when I met Mike, I'm the same with Mike as I am with my friends, and
Mm.
I am on social media. It's all the same person and that's it. And it never gets any worse than that. So if it's uncancelable on social media, I'm uncancelable at work because I'm pretty well behaved everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, just, not knowing you, but seeing your social media, it just seems like, I'm, for much of a a lack of description, I'm following one of my acting buddies.
Hmm.
Where it's just you're just a normal person. You're not putting on this face with the fake smile
Yeah.
and saying like, "Oh, hey, have you tried this toothpaste? Like
Hmm.
it's fucking best." Like, yeah, dude, I know you don't care about that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
sponsorship. So it's just it's refreshing seeing that, and then obviously listening to interviews of you in the past. You're a genuine person, and that's one of the really awesome aspects of watching you succeed in your career more and more and more,
Oh.
is that genuine people are able to utilize their talents and they can collaborate with really awesome people. So it's just great to see that come to full fruition, and that all being a lead up to how was your first night of production for Flanagan's new project?
Yeah. So we this week on Monday we started production on. We started shooting the Fall of the House of Usher,
Mm.
and I'd I'd known about this project back when we did Midnight Mass. What Mike does is, and it's happened on every single project so far I've worked with Mike, is at the day of or in the meeting just before I start filming, Mike tells me or drops me a hint at what he's decided he'd like me to try out next.
Oh,
So
really?
when we did Mass, so when we did Bly, he told me about Mass. When we did Mass, he told me about Usher. When we did Usher, he told me about Redacted. And I was like, just as I got this character up on its feet, and it's been about this character's been in my head for uh since like I'd say I got a lot of the details just towards the end of Mass when we were rapping, and so
Wow.
the character and the project's been in my mind for nearly a year. And initially it was actually supposed to shoot much earlier, but it got pushed. So yeah, so it's been a year, and then I you go and I went in for my once I'd flown in, even though I see Mike privately, like we hung out with him in LA and all of that stuff, we still do the official director actor meeting, and he's co-directing. It's Mike and it's Michael Fimignari, who was our
Oh, okay.
DP. They're both directing. So I had my director session, and literally as I walked through the door, Mike drops the next nugget, and I was like, okay, shit, all right. But yeah, so we started production on Monday. My first day was yesterday, which is yeah. I mean, I'm not new, but I'm not old. I'm like I'm still pretty fresh in the game. To be fair, like for me,
Yeah.
it feels like I've been at this point now for a decade. And it's a little under a decade. 2014 is when I shot the iZombie pilot. So for me, it does feel like, come on, you've been through this, you've done 70 plus just on that and this and that and whatever. And uh, to be fair, 5 of those years was iZombie. So
Mm.
I've only done I've only been out of that contract for 2-3 years, and in that time, everything else has happened. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, the first day's jitters because with Mike, I don't at this point I don't audition for Mike. I only auditioned for Bly, and then since then it's just been
Just carried on.
yeah offers, and this is what I think you should do, and this is who you should play, and that creates its own level of vulnerability and insecurity, because an audition is it's tough, obviously, the auditioning process, and I still do that for almost all my other projects. But obviously, with Mike, we're at that point where we don't. But what it means is that he's requested something of me that's not been tested, that I haven't received validation for. I haven't like booked it and then gone, okay, so they like me, they like what I'm doing, and that can settle you a little bit. Um, it's here's who I want you to play. Um, here's the script. I'll see you. I'll see you on set, and then you go, and like I did yesterday, and then you start working, and I saw Mike, and he'd go, and I'd go, like, because you hold on to it for months, and you're like, did I get this right? Is this what we was? Is this what he was thinking about? And yeah, so I don't know, like him and we've become. I mean, everyone talks about, being the Flanagan troupe of actors, and I didn't really wear that properly because I was being called that en masse, and I had only just done Bly, and I was like, I'm only back. This is only number 2, and I only got directed by Mike in the pilot of Bly Manor because he didn't direct the rest of Bly Manor. So,
Yeah.
and I was in the pilot. I had 3 days in the pilot, so I worked with Mike for 3 days. In those 3 days, he sized me up for the sheriff, and then we did Mass, and obviously then I was directed by Mike. So when we were doing press for Midnight Mass, I don't know, it didn't feel like I was part of the Flanagan troupe. I was like, I'm only done 2, um like but at this point now I do. Now, as like when I walked in, and it was family, and yeah.
Wow, man. That I as an actor, I can't fathom the like, all right, it's first day, you're
Mm.
getting ready, you're setting that character, and then maybe he hands you a sticky note of like, what do you think about, or I'm thinking about this, and then suddenly you're just does it throw you off in a way, or does that almost settle you into your character you're playing now in a more appropriate manner?
I mean, no, it doesn't throw me. Like,
Okay.
he so I mean, I don't know how much I can talk about this, but like,
Yeah, as I say,
so
I'm
far,
teetering.
yeah, I'm good. I won't slip up. So far, Mike has spoken to me or dropped hints at about 2 or 3 different collaborations together since Mass to Usher, um, and they get me hyped. Um, I don't. There's no negative. It doesn't really do anything really. It's um, he's always delivered. So, with a lot of people, you always hear, people make a lot of promises, and that's part of the game, right?
Yeah.
A lot of things fall through. There's a lot of layers, and there's a lot of other people who come in and go, no, we're not funding it if you're using this actor. We want a bigger name, or we want this and we want that. And as big and as respected as Mike is, he's still part of that system. And at any point, the uppers can say, we love everything you're doing, Mike. We really do. We're happy with the budget. We're going to give you more money. We just don't feel that Rahul's right for this. And as much as Mike's loyal, he's not going to sabotage an entire production and lose budget
Yeah.
because, this is my guy. I'm not fucking Leonardo DiCaprio. So like, I'm always excited, and I love the faith that Mike and Trevor Macy from Intrepid have been showing me, and enthusiasm. I really, in my heart, feel like these are 2 guys who, I don't know, like, it really feels like they want to help in some way, put me in a place they believe I should be
Mm.
in my career. Every single role and every single project is purposely a different, like, doesn't resemble the last. And when you're, there's this, it's hard to, how do I put this? Like, if you want to be a leading man, And for instance, and you're not interesting looking, you can be your conventionally, your whatever, decent looking, good looking, whatever the fuck. If you're somewhere along there, um, it's very hard for people to see you as a character actor. You've got to be like a Paul Giamatti or a Philip Seymour Hoffman. You got to look unconventional and interesting and stuff. And then they're like, play this dude and play a stoner, and then be this guy, and then be the villain in that. And like, that's where you get that rich portfolio. And very few actors, and there has been, obviously Johnny Depp did it, and um, you know, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis is, lights up the screen and he's
Oh
handsome as
God,
fuck
yeah.
and he's a character actor. But it's not as common, right? You tend to kind of like, you once you're the guy, you stay there, and it's hard for you to pick interesting roles. Gosling done it really well, but it feels like with Mike and Trevor, and they just want each one to be different, and they know I have the ability, or at least I'm trying to bring something different to each performance, in a way that maybe someone else in my position wouldn't be offered that opportunity. They would have seen me as Ravi in iZombie, and they would have gone, "That's what he does well, right? He's the kind of boy next door, cheeky chappy British science guy." And it's like, nope, this. And then it's, the first thing was like, chef, and the chef was closer to Ravi a little bit, but that was just because of the puns. But it wasn't
Yeah.
really. But there was more of a sweet boy energy, so that made sense, even though they weren't the same. One day on Bly Manor, and it was like, I want you to play this sheriff, um, and obviously I had brought things to that too. Um, I wanted to fuse a lot of Western stuff, and physicality and things like that. I was trying to bring some of that old Western flair to it, like the Wild West. But and then this character is nothing like the other two. Nothing like the other two, like at all. And it's nuts, and it's not that I'm getting to like. This is what it was like at drama school. This is what it was like at theatre school. You just experimenting, right? And you're making mistakes, and you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and you're like, well, trying to figure out, like, well, what are my limits, right? Like, how
Yeah.
far can I push this? Am I a tough guy? Can I push tough guy this tough? Can I push, good guy this good? Am I funny guy? Am I lover guy? And you're doing all this again, and you don't really get to us. Auditions, even with auditions, they all sort of still the same.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
you tend to play them safe, because you don't want to, you got to play that game of give them something fresh and different, but also chill, because you don't want to, you're still trying to get the job. Um, so like, it's crazy that the relationship that I have with Intrepid Mike and Trevor is like, um, I'm doing that amateur dramatic thing I was doing, which is I'm getting to test the waters again and try out and indulge and run to costume, and what about this and that, and hobble things together. But this is on Netflix's dime, so it's like you're doing it on like the world stage,
Yeah.
and that's kind of cool. Um, yeah, it's scary though, because you've got enough rope to hang yourself with. So,
Yeah.
and I know they'll look after me, but like at some point, when you have a bit of freedom, you might like you might go too far, and the people are like, what is that? Um, you might House of Gucci it with Jared Leto when people don't say no to you. Next time you see me in a Flanagan joint, I'm like, what's going on? No, like, that's what happens without barriers. So boundaries are good, but we have healthy boundaries. I think they do. They will say, yeah,
That's what I was hoping for. It seems like that's a group that would tell you, "Hey, man, let's dial it back a notch. I like where you're going, but
yeah.
you're going off the beaten path." Like,
Well, the only issue with that is like, I mean, I'm a yes man, which I'm sure that I don't know if that surprises people, but um, ingrained in me is a deep respect for my director. Um, and look, on in TV, that can be difficult. That was a lesson I had to learn because on iZombie, for instance, we had a new director every week per episode. That's how TV works, and some came back for multiples, but I would safely say I worked with 30 different directors probably within that time period, and maybe more. I don't know, but because there were some people who had come back who had done a 2 episode arc or a 3 episode arc, but for the most part, we probably got through about 30 different directors. Um, and in that world, they are not the captain of the ship to a certain degree. Rob Thomas is, and the showrunner is, and the cast kind of have a better beat on where we're at because we've been doing it longer. And you you're 4 episodes deep, and the director of episode 5 comes in and he's like, "Hello, guys, right, let's change things up." And then you've got to go, "No, because that's not right, because we can't." So that's an interesting world, but with limited series, ish. Bly Manor was rotating directors too, so there was a level still where like, yeah, but Mike, we got to check with Mike. But for the most part, when it comes to feature and when you're working with like one Midnight Mass, like Mike directed every episode, or even with Usher now with Mike and Michael Fimignari, yeah, they're the captains. So like what they say goes. And there's just like I'll throw anything out. There's no question I have with Mike where I'll fight for something where I'm like, no, I really believe that this haircut is the one, because there's no point where I'm going to jeopardize doing it. So ultimately, I might push back and I might like say, no, I really think this is the direction. But I know that in this battle, I know that I will surrender first. There's no way, Mike. I'm not gonna push Mike to that point. It's never gonna happen. Um, but my first job on Bly, the moustache was something I wanted, uh, and uh, I think Mike was on board. But there was some pushback, and it was my first job, and I was like, oh, I know you don't like him, but it's 1987. I'm South Asian. Everyone had a freaking mustache, like
Big
a
old
big
stash.
Tom Selleck. Um, the glasses and the thing. I was like, I don't know. The one thing I am slightly confident about is aesthetics. I have a knack for aesthetics. I feel like when I see something, I can. I was like that with iZombie. I knew I drew a picture of Ravi before I even met Rob, really, and like so I knew like the rolled up sleeves over the lab coat, and I wanted his hair swept a certain way, and I had to fight for the beard because the CW at the time didn't let their men have beards
Oh,
because
really?
they were unsightly. I remember when I met the
Oh
cast of
god.
iZombie, which was in this hotel. Funnily enough, when we did the pilot, I showed up with a beard, at 28, and they're American, bar Rose, and they were like, "Oh, so when are you going to shave?" So I'm not gonna. And they told me they're like, then this is the CW. There's no way they don't like groom you up and stuff.
Yeah.
But I stood by it, and Rob stood by me, and so I've always had. And then that character became a cosplay, and it's Ravi, and even though it has a cult following, he has a very iconic look. You could spot him a mile off just for the throwaway doctor in the morgue, and then that built my confidence, and I was very hands on with the brains that I did. So like you know I would buy my own jewelry for characters, and I would research what watch. I don't know. I've always enjoyed the aesthetics, building the aesthetics, and then the same kind of. Even though I was like, "Hey, Mike, tell me, because I'll not do any of this." But this is what I think Owen like. I like this look. I like this particular hairstyle with these glasses and this moustache, and Mike's like, okay. And there was resistance, but Mike was like, we're going to go with the moustache. And then, when the show came out, fucking the title of the GQ article or whatever it was about the moustache. Like, it became a meme of that year, of that period, sorry.
Yeah.
Which bought me, I feel like, a little bit of trust, where they were like, well, shit, okay. And then when we was doing the sheriff, I was like, I want to invoke the silhouette of a cowboy, like Clint Eastwood, like the man with no name. So I was wearing cowboy boots under my jeans. We went with a like triple denim, which was like all blue jumpsuit thing, which was crazy. But Mike supported it. And, I sent him a picture of Joel from The Last of Us, and I was like, this is the hair, this is the beard. Like, what do you reckon? And Mike was like, yeah, that's great. I love that. Let's do that. And then the sheriff became a cosplay and a look, like, so I take that's performance is great. Like, I will focus on that. That's always going to be the thing that you focus on the most, and that's all that's important. But the only time I do feel slightly confident, where I'm a bit like, I have a tiny bit of resistance, that I will try and be like, have an open dialogue about, instead of everything just being yes sir, I'll do, I'll do everything, is look. So what I can say about the new project is I put some time into this physically, and one of the most rewarding things was being on set yesterday with people I've also made 2 other projects with at this point. Like, a lot of our crew are from Midnightmass and Bly,
Oh, cool. Okay.
and being told that that you're unrecognizable, or just compliments on the aesthetics as well, was awesome. So it was a lot of detail and a lot of obsessing and planning and plotting and this and that, and not fighting, but like caring about certain things and making sure that like I really would like this and then when it comes together and people around you on set, you feel good, you feel so that was nice. That's as much as I could say. It was a really good day, and I met some of my castmates that I hadn't met before.
Oh, wow.
And that was a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the best days of my life. But I don't know how much I can talk about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I won't poke or prod about that, because as a huge fan of Mike's work since Hush, I thrive in the mystery of what's coming next, and
cool.
waiting for uh the story to completely unfold. And just going to back to the aesthetics part of your approach to each character, man, like, it's watching you in Mass. I did see Clint Eastwood, I saw Harrison Ford, I saw Timothy Oliphant from like Justified and Deadwood. I saw all those come together. And is there one person? I don't know if I can ask this, man. It might be a spoiler, but if you can't answer it, if you can't, don't answer it. But if you can, is there a person or character that you sort of uh try to embody for this new show? And if you can't answer it, don't answer it.
Yeah, I
It's
can't
just,
answer
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's fair.
I
That's fair. It's
can't.
just,
Yeah, because it's what can I say? No, I mean, no, this one's different. This one's
okay.
different.
Yeah.
What can I say? I am embodying a culture,
Hmm, okay.
not a person. A culture, I feel like, is
I
probably
love
what
that.
I've been focusing on. Yeah.
Okay. And do
Yeah.
you think, you're obviously a big fan of kits and models, and putting all
Mm.
those things together, and just, I follow you on Instagram, so it's like seeing your models kind of slowly come into each phase. Do you think that has something to do with your eye for aesthetics? Is just knowing, that things come together piece by piece?
Oh, I never associated the two. I don't know. I've disassociated the hobby stuff from my work.
Oh, okay.
Um, the hobby stuff was something I've always been a kid who needed a hobby, right? Like, I first and foremost, I'm a gamer, number one. So like, I sink most of my time into that, and I always have done. Like, my parents have always struggled to get me away from video games. Um, and film was the alternative. So I was a film junkie, but I was still mainlining video games. Um, and the best way you could get me to do projects was like, well, what if you didn't play Rogue Squadron and you maybe put together this Darth Vader TIE fighter model kit? That at least he's not in front of the screen. So, and I love painting art. So I used to be a very good drawer and stuff, and I had a big interest in it.
Wow.
And somewhere along the way, like I just stopped. Like, the hobby stopped, and I was training at drama school and stuff like that. And it was then it was just like video games, going out, drinking. Like that was I was in that kind of world, and then when I was out and I wasn't booking work, um, I it was tough for me. It was tough for me to get out of London. It was tough for me to get a speaking role. Um, I'd get a little bit of money now and again from ad like commercials. I could book a couple of commercials here and there, but and it was that, but they were like small money commercials. It wasn't like the old days where people would be like, "I bought this house because I did a Subway commercial." Like these were, yeah, like $1,000, and that might be me done for 2 months. Like that was about it. So and there was a lot of like, questioning, did you make the right choice? Are you even good enough? Like I was still doing background work, I was doing crew work, I was PA, I was running around, like I was buying croissants and muffins fresh to put in the talent's dressing room. And meanwhile you're out there and you're being told to fetch a cappuccino for some prick. And so like so there's a lot going on, and I was getting to like 24, 25, 26, and I was auditioning full time at that point because I was auditioning a lot. I was kind of in a weird place because I was auditioning a lot, which this wasn't Zoom days, right? This was self tapes were rare. You were going in the room, and sometimes I'd be doing 2 to 3 auditions a day all around London. You
Holy shit.
running around, and it'd be a commercial, maybe a soap opera, and maybe an indie feature, or even sometimes the big stuff. Being South Asian, because there's so few of us, I was going up for roles against Riz Ahmed while I was still auditioning for background work.
No shit.
Because there's no pool, right? So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
Indian, okay, cool. Well, have you heard of, there was a movie he did, Black Black, I can't remember, but like Riz was the lead. There was like a massive lead role on UK TV called Sinbad, right? I was auditioning for that level of stuff at the same time I was like still doing like auditioning to be background in commercials because they needed diversity. So that's what you'll do, right? You'll bounce between that because we're all in there, all 10 of us, or however many South Asians there were in London at the time. And so I was auditioning a lot, not booking anything. All my time's gone. So it was tough to like, I used to work retail, and it was tough to like, I was moving shifts so often. And I did one commercial, and it was the Champions. It was for the Champions League. It was for Heineken,
Oh
and
wow.
I got £10,000. And obviously, once commission was taken and all the stuff, and I knew how to live on nothing. And fortunately, I was still living with my folks, and my folks didn't give me money because I was 25, 26. So we didn't have that kind of relationship. But my dad never asked for rent. He was okay. Even though he's retired, that was their support. They never, they didn't have to pay for my college fees or any of that stuff. My teeth were falling out. I never had money for dental, but they were like, you can have your room and what's in the fridge. And that's our support, because we know that if you had to pay rent, you ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
So that's what I owe my parents. They created an environment for me where I wasn't having to like deal with landlords, because they knew that the bubble would burst. So that little bit of money I had, I lived off, and I quit my retail job because I knew I had this, like I had a few grand I could make it, and I could make that stretch. I was smoking roll-up cigarettes and shit, and I was like, I'll make that stretch. And in that time, this is a very long-winded way of talking about my model kits. Um,
No, I love it, man. Keep going.
I I found like as busy as I was, I'd also end up like for no reason. Oh, it's been 4 days I haven't left the house because I didn't have an audition, right? Um, and I'd get on everyone's nerves and what have you. So I bought a model kit and I was like, let me do this while I'm between auditions. Um, and it became an obsession again. Like it fired up and it became meditation for me. And I'm a chain smoker and I have a lot of pent up energy and um, yeah, there's always something that I'm always in some form of an extreme emotion or mood. And then like I'd start a model kit and 5 6 hours 7 hours would go. I realized I hadn't spoken, looked at my phone, smoked a cigarette, barely had a sip of water because I just like go into this trance. And um and that kept me going. So like it improved my mental health a little bit without me knowing that it was improving my mental health. And then I booked iZombie and everything was fine. And then I felt like my mental health was going down the toilet again recently, about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I'd stopped building. I was just doing iZombie stuff, going out, drinking, and playing video games. And there's always that little thing missing. And I was like, I started getting therapy, and the first thing my therapist wanted me to do was to meditate. Um, and I can't, man. I cannot meditate. I cannot sit there. Whether it's 3 minutes or 15, I cannot focus. I get fidgety. My brain's all over the place. I start thinking about like maybe the character, the work, or this or that, or whatever. So now I make this effort, like um, wherever I am,
Yeah.
even if I'm in this hotel, fuck, that's the convoy. I don't know if you can hear
Yeah,
that.
it's so fate in the back, man. It's actually
Oh,
working.
it is.
Yeah.
It's like an air horn. That's amazing that it's not picking it up. That is so loud. I can't believe it. So I'm just going to push through. But yeah, yeah. So no matter where I am, like right now, what I would have normally have done is all my workshop stuff, paints, tools, this, that, whatever, all the boxed projects I have,
Yeah.
they're all at my place in Los Angeles, and that's where they'll stay. And I'll stay out here, and I'll do the same thing. I'll work, and then I'll go out, and I will play video games. Um, and this on this show, I was like, nope. I'm gonna whatever I do, I'm gonna make sure I have on that area there something to work on.
Yeah.
Um, and so I bring it out, and so it is purely for meditation. It's purely for mental health. I sit there. I've got my paint pots. Um, I'll probably do some this weekend and feel great. And the phone gets left alone, and I don't think about my lines or anything. Yeah, and that's all. That's the only purpose it serves. In terms of aesthetics and creating characters, I don't think so. I think gaming helps more with that. Like I'm a big
Interesting.
RPG fan.
Yeah.
So every time I approach a character, there's a level of character creation. Um, and when I play RPGs, every time I do create a character, I sink a lot of time into it. It's almost always my likeness, with tweaks, facial hair to hair tweaks, costume tweaks
Hmm.
to suit the world. And then I use that as an acting exercise. So I embody the storyline and pretend I'm playing a role. So I walk, I don't run. I try and pick dialogue. I try and interact with the environment as I would like it was a show or a film.
Oh wow.
With me playing the character, it's really frustrating to watch me play an RPG because I'll walk and I will take my time hitching the horse here, and it's just I don't know, because I'm constantly thinking about choices, the
Yeah.
choices we make as an actor, and what would I do here? How would I? What's my character? How is my character behaving in this moment? Oh, I just learned this news from this. So I'm going to haul ass over here because I would ride my horse with ferocity because of this reason. Whereas this time I won't ride my horse that fast because of it. But it to me, it just sharpens the tools when I'm not working. That's what I like to do. So RPGs and stuff like that are something that Mass Effect's a great example. It was one of the first,
Oh yeah.
you know, RPGs for me was picking dialogue tree options and picking relationships, but then like not just allowing it to be in the screen in front of me, but like to be in here and let that think about how I pull the puppet strings of this guy based off the story beats and whatever. But yeah.
Wow, man. Yeah, that's it's I don't think I've talked to anyone about the idea of making choices in another medium and how that would affect, your performance as an actor.
Mm,
For some people it's, it's playing a board game, or it's just like, it's just different things that allow you to strategize. And going back to before you picked up iZombie, like, it just, I think every actor listening to this needs to hear that. Like, it's not everyone's going to have their shot. That's a common thing, right? Unfortunately, that's just not the
yeah,
way of the world.
yeah.
But I'm very much in the spot where you were before you got iZombie, where it's all non-union non-union commercials. It's like a grand, but after your agent gets it, it's $800. It's barely your rent. You're scarcely getting by. But finding something that can calm you down is just, it's a true gift, and finding something like that to put all your energy into, it's just insane, man. I've never actually, I shouldn't say I've never. I think I put together an X-wing model maybe 10 years ago, and
Mhm.
I butchered the hell out of it.
Yeah.
It did not come out great. I don't have it anymore, but when I did have it, I put it on my desk because it reminded me of, hey, you can do other things. Stop thinking about, you know, this
Mhm.
audition or that callback. Do
Yeah.
something else. So
Yeah.
it's just, it's really cool
The
thinking
problem is,
about
man,
that.
you lose your sense of self-worth.
Yeah.
Um, and it's you it's there's a good and bad. There's like you're without knowing you're developing calluses.
Mm.
Um, to a certain degree, anyone would when you face that much rejection. Um, and anytime you can achieve something, it's a win, even if it's not necessarily in your field. It's a win, and for me, I felt like a piece of shit Monday through Friday, uh, exacerbated by everyone around me, exacerbated by, you know, your peers and the people you look up to, just booking the next one. Things and projects that were your dream projects are being cast without you even being a grain in the sand in that production,
Yeah.
and feeling like time's running away. And it was it's a dark period, man. And yeah, and I'm sorry that's where you're at. But it with where it comes to with the model kits, and it doesn't have to be model kits. Anything you can do on a daily basis to pat yourself on the back is a good thing. And if it's laying down a decal on an X-wing perfectly, or if it's a really good paint job, or if it's putting together a bit of Lego. And I mean, hobbies are hobbies, and they're expensive, and
Yeah.
they can spiral, but then they can also be matched. That it depends on your level, but like you can get a miniature for a couple of bucks. You can do it shit and just use a couple of paints and a couple of pots of acrylic paint and call it a day. And even just like on an ultramarine, just a little bit of perfect gold trim here, and you cleaned it up and you look at it and you go, I did that, that's cool. It makes the 5 failed audition just for a second. It's just a little it's a little reward to yourself about that's creative, or and it's kind, and they store up, man, they store
Yeah.
up. And but like I would say it's real hard, man, because I'm not living the fucking dream. I don't have a fucking star on the Walk of Fame or anything. I'm
Yeah.
mad early into my career. I'm not a fucking household name. I could go outside right now, walk the whole of Vancouver and not be approached or asked anything or noticed. That's not fame.
Yeah.
I'm Twitter famous, maybe, and even then I'm not really. But like I might be social media known, or you saw a tweet from this guy. That's not famous. So I wouldn't say that, I'm not Drake. I haven't. It's not I started from the bottom. Now we're here, kind of talk.
Yeah.
But I have been able to make a decent living from
Yeah.
my chosen profession for the last 7, 8 years, and it went from the lowest point of my career to the highest in the space of 7 days.
Mm.
7 days. I shit you not. I did not have all the things I would assume about people who are booking work. I'm proof that that's bullshit. So I didn't have a top tier agent. It was a very, 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 very low tier agent. I didn't go to a good school. So I didn't have like, yeah, but maybe, they see Rod or no, I went to an amateur dramatic school. That's all I did. 2 years, 3 days a week. My agent did background work, commercials, every now and again, whatever. Yes, I did. I was seen for stuff, sometimes bigger because of my race, or sorry, my ethnicity. But that was, whatever. But I didn't have contacts. So I'm just auditioning like cattle calls.
Yeah.
And on a Friday I had an audition for 24 London. Real small character, whatever. It was a few lines or whatever the fuck it was, like tiny guest role.
Yeah.
And it was the worst audition at that. I don't know. It was a really bad audition, man. They didn't send me the sides.
They
The
didn't send you the
prepared
sides?
No, they didn't send me the prepared sides. Someone
Wow.
forgot, and I showed up. They were very apologetic that had happened, but then I was given these, and they were like, "Yeah, we're crazy that you weren't sent the sides. We're so sorry. Have a look at them now." And then I went in the room, and then I felt like I was I was being judged that my read wasn't great, even though you knew I didn't have the fucking sides, and I was
Yeah.
stumbling a little bit, and I wasn't being able to I couldn't make the adjustments in time because I fucking hate reading, and I just felt so disrespected, man, and uh, I, I walked out like I'm done, man. I'm done feeling this one. I'm done with these people. They got my career in their hands, and even then, this person knew that I was at a disadvantage, but then was still groaning at my performance. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm 27 years old. I'm turning 30 in a couple of years.
Yeah.
I'm fucking done with being spoken to like this, man. It's doing me in, and I just wanted to be. I just, and I hadn't achieved enough to even get to that point where doing this made sense. It's
Yeah.
not like I made a few dents and I was like, I'm close, man. I'm close. Remember how I got to the recall of this? No, I didn't even have that. I was never down to the last anything of anything. You start questioning yourself, man. And so I walked out of that audition and I called my then agent, and I was pissed and I just wanted to rant. And I don't know, it's like an abusive relationship because you threaten I'm gonna leave, I'm fucking done. You're not. You know you're gonna be back on Monday. And that was me with acting. I hated it, treated me badly. But it always had that little it's always that little something that always got me back. And so I just wanted to vent. And I was like, I'm fucking done, man. I'm done with this shit. And they were very dismissive, and they said to me, uh, we have an audition for you for a pilot. And I'd never really auditioned for a pilot before, called iZombie. I was like, okay, it sounds terrible. And um, but I looked at the sides and I looked at it and I saw it was a decent monologue, and I was like, just fucking angry. I was just angry at how I just been treated and where my life was at. So I just hit this audition just unnecessarily hard, and I got it on its feet over the weekend. I liked performing it, and I couldn't wait to kind of perform it. Anyway, so I went in on a Monday. They put it on the tape for me, and they sent it to Rob Thomas.
Yeah.
Friday, I was cast as one of the leads.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
That's the
So
quickest turnaround I've ever heard.
right, but
Yeah.
it does happen.
Yeah.
And the more actors I meet, because now I get to meet, I'm meeting everyone who got the call. That's my life, right? How did you what? And it does happen. If you look at how many there are of us versus how many have to call, yeah, it's terrible. Like not everyone's going to make it, but and that's the allure, man. That's the Vegas. That's the
Yeah.
gambling of it all, right? It's the jackpot. Um, but I went from working class kid who, you know, like I said, no contacts, no education, no qualifications, really, not a good agent, not ever, and I just fucking swung at that character with everything I had at that point, and it made noise, and my life changed after that week, and I grew in confidence, and I learned there's a certain learning that you get from like TV's great, like you know, character creation, auditions, these are the things that like you can keep working on, but on set experience, it's like there's nowhere else to really pick that up if you're not working, and that's something I was green, like I knew how
Yeah.
to play Ravi from day one. I don't feel like I came in and I was here and the rest of the cast were there. Like in terms of performance, I came in just as fucking hard as anyone else, and
Oh yeah.
regardless of their experience, right? Like
Yeah.
Ravi was a fully fleshed character. He was one of the highest tested on the pilot, so that was cool. But my technical, I've never been on set, so I didn't know
Yeah.
what words meant. I didn't know like how it goes and how to behave. Like press, I was definitely the greenest, and um, all of it. Like, and that was something I had to learn, and that was something that Malcolm Goodwin, in particular, was who played Detective Babineau.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like my big brother. Like he New York guy, and New York and Londoners, they're like cousins. There's a similarity in energy, and he took me under his wing, um, and just took care of me for the whole of the 5 years, and um, yeah, and then yeah, and the rest is history, man. But like I don't know. I hope something there like resonates. Like it does happen because it fucking happened. I know it's a jackpot. I'm not saying it's common, but
Yeah.
like all, all I remember is, and I forget this sometimes. I have to remind myself of this. The Ravi will always be the best audition I ever did because of what it means. And maybe I've probably auditioned better than Ravi, but that will always be the audition I remember. But one thing about him or that audition that sticks out to me more than any others that I've ever done is that I really fucking enjoyed performing the audition. I showed it to my loved ones, which I never
Wow.
do with auditions.
Yeah.
And I
That's-
remember my sister, who I never act in front of, she was like, "It's really good." That was my weekend, and I was hyped to do it in front of the casting agent on Monday. I actually enjoyed it, and like that's something to remember. I don't know. There's something in there. Like we audition because we want something, right? It's transaction. Here's what we've prepared. You give me job, please.
yeah.
And we put a lot of weight and expectation and on ourselves and whatever, and you can't always do it, but like if you find that moment where like you've worked on a piece and then it's just like I love the words, I love the flow, I enjoy doing it, I get a little kick out of like this section here where I this turn or the way I play this line and I lead into it and I come out of it on the other end, and like and you put that little, I see monologues particularly or pieces as I try to imagine a roller coaster.
Oh, totally.
So you
Yeah.
visualize it, right? And I visualize, well, where's the dip? But don't put too many of these, but just enough, and you maximize the thrill of going through those monologues. They can't just be flat, and they can't just ramp up. And then there's got to be variety. If you enjoy building that, and you enjoy then riding it and test riding it, fuck desperation. Like forget booking it, not booking it, and all the other stuff. Now it just becomes what it should be, right? Which is I'm enjoying performing this. This is fun. And I think that resonates. And I think, yeah, I don't know, like that was Ravi, and that's one of the only times, man. So even now when I audition, I go through the motions. I'm like, do you even fucking like this?
Yeah. Do you feel it?
Do you enjoy doing this? But I do when I'm at work. That's the funny thing. There are scenes like when I'm at work now with the character. Um, like I was excited once I'd done the work on the scene I was doing yesterday. I was nervous and I was like, this is the wrong interpretation. But I also hadn't actually played the character yet. But I was excited to do this scene. I was excited to like. So when when Michael's like, all right, let's do it. Let's feel it out. Let's rehearse. I couldn't wait because I knew it. And like, if that was an audition, I would have nailed it, right? Because I was,
You were
it was
locked
there.
in.
It was
Yeah.
locked in, and I was like, and I just enjoyed performing it. So like, yeah, it's something to, it's something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. That does hit. Cause every time I've been doing it for 8 years, and every time I think I might want to do something else or I want to stick to writing, I booked Wind River, Taylor Sheridan's movie
Hmm.
in 2016. And before I knew it, I was on set working with two Avengers I was a huge fan of, and learning from Graham Greene what it was like to be an actor of, an ethically ambiguous look,
Yeah.
and what that means. And then till last year I didn't get anything big until I did a TV show on CW, Walker. And I had,
Oh,
you know
you and Walker with Jared and Lindsay.
yeah, yeah. I had 3 lines that were cut because it rained the previous day. So
Yeah.
I was just, I was still in the scene when I was interacting with them and acting, but
Yeah.
it was at that point I wasn't disappointed that the lines were cut, because I had that experience of, oh wow, I'm working with Sam Winchester. I've loved
Yeah.
this guy since I was 13. Like, this is
Yeah.
fantastic. And then the guy that plays the trickster is directing it. So it's two birds with one stone.
Mm-hmm.
So it does resonate because it flies out of nowhere. And right now, I was pinned for a couple things, and then I thought I was going to be a part of a show, and ultimately didn't work out. But the audition, as you were saying, like I went for that audition, and it was something that I felt myself being. So that does hit, man. Like that idea of, I'm just in it.
You want to do
If
some manifesting with me?
Yeah, yeah. So,
I was 8 years before iZombie.
were you?
Yeah,
No shit.
it was 8 years, and just
Wow.
around those 8 years, I got like my first couple of lines on EastEnders and like those were where the
Yeah.
first trickle started, and they do build your confidence, man. Like
Mhm.
I had lines cut. I was in a show called Dates or something for Channel 4, and it was the first time it wasn't a soap opera. I was actually in a drama, UK drama. I played
Oh
the
shit.
bartender who chats up the lead. Cut, gone. Not even my face. They didn't tell me. I had everyone in my family and friends watching live, and the episode
Oh,
came up,
dude.
and it was just, you saw my arm, and I was out.
Yeah.
Never told me. But these all happened just and I was 8 years, and then it was iZombie. 8 years from starting with my
From
agent or
starting
whatever,
it. Yeah.
and whatever. Yeah, starting it basically.
Yeah.
So
You give
manifest,
us
man.
hope, man. Like, you give us hope that something could happen, if you're working towards it
Yeah,
and you meet the right people, it's
yeah. It's
it's
gonna
all
be
part of
and
luck.
it's sometimes it's like Ravi is mine,
Yeah.
and you know it's no one else can play that character.
No.
It felt like it was written for me before I'd even met anyone.
Yeah.
So sometimes that has to happen too, right? It's got to be the right one.
Right fit.
But actually, it wasn't written for me. No, it's bullshit. Don't believe that. Ravi, they wanted a 40-year-old. It was supposed to be in. He's the Giles of the Buffy group. He's supposed to be the older
Oh,
mentor.
seriously?
Yeah, because that's missing from our show, right? You've got
Yeah. Ah, yeah,
villain,
yeah.
you got the love interest, and you got the detective. And the detective, they're the same. They're meant to be around about the same age ish. There's, Babano's a little bit more experienced. Ravi was supposed to be, I'm going to cure you. I'm going to understand it. He's Giles.
Yeah.
And if you look at the original brief, and I know who Rob Thomas had written it for, but they declined. Much older than me. It was a father figure for Liv because her father's absent.
Yeah.
And then they saw my tape, and I'm 27, and they were like, "Fuck this, make it a 28-year-old. I don't care." So they just switched it, man. Like,
Yeah.
so even when you're not, it's not written for you. It's written for, I don't know. They made it work because they were like, and he wasn't supposed to do Ricky Gervaisians, but I was upset. I was obsessed with, I grew up on Ricky Gervais. So there was a little bit of that in the audition and flares of this. And I didn't know that Rob is obsessed with The Office, the UK Office. So he picked up on some of those stuff, and it was all just the right stuff. But again, like, it was controlled though. It wasn't, it wasn't just luck. Like I said, I shouldn't have been reading for, like, it wasn't, I wasn't the right guy, walked in at the right time. I made that character mine, and then they had to then change things about the character because they really liked the performance. So even then, like, because they could have gone chief medical examiner. He's 27 years old, and I don't look old for my age. Like,
No.
I looked appropriate for my age. It's crazy to think Ravi worked at the CDC, he got fired, and now he's this and he's this. So like, they just they like the work. They're like, I like what this kid's bringing to this. Fuck it, like, I'm gonna change it. And yeah, and Mike's doing that now. It feels as well with me. Like, he's just like, fuck this. I know it's not. We didn't. I don't think he wanted his sheriff to be Sheriff Daddy when he wrote it 10 years ago. I don't think he wanted his 9/11 Muslim hero to,
Yeah.
like, smolder and put his hand on his hips and just, I don't know what I was doing, but he made it. He loved it. He made it work for me. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, make it your own, man.
Yeah, that's it's just awesome hearing that, man. Knowing that, it takes a lot to be a working actor, especially, these days. It's not the 70s anymore, when you can just kind of walk in, maybe get somewhere. You have to teeter for a little bit. Um
Yeah,
it's strange, but
but there's more content now than there's ever been.
yeah, there's more channels for, I mean, I'm waiting because I know you're, I'm a huge Mandalorian nerd.
Mm,
I've loved Star Wars my entire life, ever since watching the VHS copies that my uncle had. But I'm waiting to see you on either, maybe the Mandalorian season 3,
mm.
so just anything, because you have that factor of, you can blend into that story.
Right,
You're not standing out to the point where it's like, oh, it's if Ricky
Benicio del
Gervais showed up
Toro
in
or
Star
Ricky
Wars, yeah, it
Gervais.
would still be Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just I hope that happens for you, because I could only imagine, like, unless you don't see yourself in that world as an actor and more of a fan, but I could see you just rolling it in Star Wars.
So firstly, my first day yesterday
Mm.
was hanging out with someone. Um, and if you've
Oh
seen our cast list, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So it was the first time we met, and I was very emotional. Um, and they're the best, and it still hasn't sunk in.
I
Mike
bet,
was
man.
taking photos on his phone, and he sent them to me when I was going home, and it's just me like this or like that, and then leaning in and talking like that. And I haven't even processed it yet. I called my mum last night on the way home from work, because she knows about how much I love Star Wars and what
Yeah.
it means to me. Um, she burst into tears on the phone when I told her, because just the way she said it made me cry. She said, "You're meeting your heroes." Like, it broke me last night. And yeah, and I told them the same thing, that that is the truth. They asked me why I became an actor, and I said I was like, this is fucking embarrassing, man. It was to be in Star Wars. That's
Yeah.
the life goal. I wanted to be in the world. I wanted to start. I wanted to contribute. So I thought I was going to do special effects, and I wanted to work for ILM. And a little bit later, I decided I was going to contribute by being an actor and playing. And then it became the bucket list goal. I have one bucket list goal, and it's to play a character in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
That's why I became an actor. And I told him yesterday, and he said something extremely sweet, and was super sweet with me, knowing that he's dealing with a fanboy who's trying to keep a lid on it because we've got a fucking job to do. But so yeah, it is. I don't deny it. It's mine. It's my personal life goal. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. I've got greedy. That's the truth. So, what can I say about it? Yeah, I met Dave Filoni a few months ago.
What?
Yeah, and at something a mutual event. It wasn't an interview. And Dave said, as we approached one another, he went, "I know you." And I was like, "Do you? Why? How the fuck does he know me? Maybe he just loves Supergirl. I don't know." But like my world has, in terms of my life goal in Star Wars, they're there. They're kissing. They're in bed. You know, my co-star has been in a couple of Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
You know, and I know if you know, it's all there and stuff. So here's the thing: when I started with my life goal as an 11-year-old, it was a contribution to the universe, and it had no real. There was nothing too small and nothing too big. It was whatever. I just want to do it, and over the years, it like, you know, I just want to be a stormtrooper. I don't even have to. I just need to know I did it. Even I'll do it. And then when the prequels were done, I was like, oh, even just a voice on the Clone War. I just want to do one thing, one game. Just do even an NPC.
Yeah.
And then, I'll admit this. Now I'm like fucking lead or nothing. So
I mean, as
I've
you should.
upgraded. I've bumped it up, and now I'm like, you know, would I be on the Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett? And you know, you walk into the cantina, and some guy goes, "No droids in here," and some people will be like, "Oh, Rahul, he made it. Oh, he was the Bond." I'm not doing it. I'm saying no, and I've proven this. So this isn't just false. Like I have been like this about certain things. I'm not going to say what projects and what franchises, but I have stuck to my guns. Now I'm at the roulette table. Sorry, that's a bad analogy. Now I'm at the poker table, and I'm probably at a point where, yeah, I can do it. I can finish this life goal and go and cash my chips, right? And I go, I know enough people and I know the world and I know whatever. I'm sure I could be the guy who just gives someone the gun or sells this or does the mod or whatever, or be ride one of them fucking scooters. I'm sure I can get to that point, right?
Yeah.
But why? What, one bite of the apple? What if I don't? What if I stay at the table and I don't cash out and I risk it and I shoot for something more with some substance? Why not? At first, it was by all means necessary, like by any means necessary, any size, any contribution, and now I'm like, well, hold on. You've made a decent career for yourself. I became an actor just to be in Star Wars, but you know what? I ended up loving acting more than Star Wars. Like, I love my job. So, and I love the projects I've been in. And I've chosen, it's real hard because of the NDAs, because I don't know, like, I always hazard on the side of not saying anything, but like, I've turned down something because of Midnightmass. And that something is what, you know, part of that goal. Terrible way of putting all of this.
Hey, it worked. It worked.
But I did it because actually fucking Midnightmass is better. I mean, this means more to me. So it has changed slightly. And I'm like, but I love what I do. And you know, all right. So I didn't what I did yesterday and what I got to work on yesterday and who I got to meet and work with was so dope. Like, I got to do that, and I could have been in Star Wars and never have experienced that, because I could have just been what, like, on the scooter, right? With the
Yeah.
little mod gang, and
Yeah.
that's it. That's my contribution. But yesterday I was on set with fucking Luke Skywalker. Do you know what I mean? So like, and that meant like, so it's like, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, like I will, I'm gonna, and it's until I die, right? I said I'll do it
Yeah.
when I do it. So I've set myself this one goal. It's personal to me. I know some people, I know I caused a bit of a stir with the Ezra trolling, which I didn't mean to. It spun out of control, and everyone thought I was Ezra Bridger, and it brought a lot of new people to my social media who
Yeah.
don't know me, because people who knew me were like, "Don't take it seriously. He fucks around. He's a troll." And he isn't Ezra Bridger. Like, we know he's not. No one else took it seriously, but the new people that came my way,
Just went ape shit.
yeah. And then were very upset when they realized that this may have been fabricated because I was just watching Rebels. Um, and and yeah, like, I will do it. I have every confidence I'll do it. Now I'm just like, look, off the top of my head, crazy, crazy, crazy dream bucket list stuff,
Yeah,
right? I'd want to be Revan. More importantly, I
dude.
think I would be a fucking dope reimagining of Kyle Katarn with a new backstory that isn't, because we can't do it because of EU.
Yeah.
I mean, I am Brown Kyle Katarn. So, like, Dash Rendar. I want that, like, these were the characters I fucking adored from the EU and the video games. And I'm like, you know, they're wish list kind of characters, but like, why not? Like, fuck it. I'd rather not
Yeah.
do it. I'd rather fail and say I never did it. Have this wonderful career, make these incredible, like, I've been so fortunate, man. Like, I did like, my first video game was Gears 5. Where I played Fars,
Oh,
and
yeah. Oh,
my,
wow.
yeah, my first TV show was iZombie with the fucking creator of Veronica Mars, and I did the DC Vertigo thing. My first guest spot was Supergirl. My first show outside of the CW was The Haunting of Bly Manor, the second season of one of the biggest horror shows of all time, with this, with Mike fucking Flanagan. So like, I have had such a wonderful short career right now, and like, I don't know. I'm I'm prouder. If I never got in Star Wars, but that's the work. That was that's what Star Wars technically brought me, right? Like, because of that franchise, I did this body of work and I had these experiences. I'm all right with it. And if I say yes to Star Wars, it's all, and this goes for Marvel now and it goes for DC. You get one bite of those apples, and like, some of the auditions that have come by and some of the things, it's not a big enough bite of the apple. So fuck it. I've got, maybe people don't like hearing this from brown people when we have a bit of self-worth and we want things. But
Yeah.
like, fuck it. I'm good enough. I don't see why not. Like, I'm not willing to take sidekick best mate in stuff anymore. Fuck it. I'd rather just not do it, you know? And that's why Mike and Trevor have been amazing, because they also feel the same way about me. If they heard, then when they hear, like, I let them know I just got this and that, and they're like, you should be the fucking lead. So that's the Star Wars journey. It's just gotta, it's gotta be a good bite. I'd rather not have a bite at all, and keep working on other stuff.
Yeah. Well, man, you've earned that level to say no. You've seen my body of work. You've seen what I can do. Like, I'm gonna hold my
Mm.
self worth right there. It's either this or nothing else. Sorry. Like,
And I'm
it's,
okay with that.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
the fact that you are okay with it, and it's not a, oh, I'm gonna regret that for the rest of my life. Like, it's funny the
What I did yesterday,
yeah,
everything that took place at work yesterday, man, the 11-year-old who sat down and watched the special editions, that he came back. He was there yesterday on set,
yeah,
and I, I've done it. I've achieved the things that 11-year-old wanted, but a little bit more, because that's, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
that's
No, I
OG, that's
totally do.
OT, that's original trilogy. Like I got to I got that got to happen. So like, yeah, so fuck it. Like the yeah.
It's
I've achieved, I've ticked off things I wanted to tick off. So
and not a lot of people can say that, especially when they're completely separate entities and franchises. I mean, the when when you put up, Mark's post, about like him commenting on your tweet, that was the day I'd seen the newest episode of Book of Boba Fett, and that was about a week after I interviewed Carrie Jones, who plays Black Chrysanthemum in Book of Boba Fett, and he had the same reaction you did. It was just like, holy shit, I'm a little kid again. I'm gonna rock it, but I'm a little kid again, and this is going great. Like, it's I can see it in your eyes as you talk about it, that experience means more to you than like being I don't want to say being a lead in a Star Wars project, but being on the project's different than meeting one of your heroes from childhood who you are actually working with. That's just insane to think about, especially Mark himself, like the OG of the Star Wars trilogy, man. It's crazy to think about. And usually, like, in this podcast, we'll ask our guests, do you have a party story or something that you could tell the
yeah.
audience about? Like, I don't know, do you have anything that could top that? I don't know if you have an experience that could top working with Luke Skywalker on your first day of set. That's just so crazy,
I
man.
know. I haven't processed. I told you it's only happened.
Yeah.
It's only been 12 hours since we wrapped. There's been a few, man. There's a couple of things that have happened over the last few years that have really kind of broke my brain a little bit. Obviously, that's, like I said, I'll process that one day.
Yeah.
But like, go Hideo Kojima posing with the Midnightmass art book in Japan at his studio with my page, with him with the sheriff like this, dude. Like, that's what's messing with me, man. And that's why maybe I
Yeah.
should go back to therapy, because I'm like, yo, my sense of reality is being broken on a daily basis.
Mm.
Like, you know, am I in a dream? Is this all real? When is this going to be over? Why are good things constantly happening? It makes me anxious. What the fuck? Like, why are these things that I manifested? Why are they happening? It breaks your reality, man. Why am I sitting here with Mark and we're talking about Dagobah? What is going on? Why is one of my favorite people in the planet and who made one of my favorite series is, why is he posing with a picture of me? Like, bro, it fucks with you. It does.
Yeah.
It fucks with you. Why did Filoni behave the way that Filoni did? And I'm like, I've been the biggest Filoni stan since the fucking prequels. Yeah, man. And so there's loads of these things that happen. The one that I cried, I didn't cry yesterday on set,
Yeah, I
but
was waiting for that.
like, it's this real small thing.
Yeah.
But I want to say a year ago, I got an email from Liverpool Football Club, and I've supported them since 1992. So I was about 93, yes, I was about 7 or 8 years old. And they were actually asking if I would just film a little something on my phone, tell my best joke for the staff, and to thank them, for COVID and all the work that they've been, and everything that's been
Yeah.
happening. They were putting together a little in-house video, so it wasn't for the public, and it wasn't for Twitter, it wasn't for Instagram. It was just for the staff.
Hmm.
And it was the official letterhead, and it was from Liverpool Football Club. was from the head of market, the PR, publicist or whatever. And in it, they just said like, um, we I don't know, I can't remember the exact words, but it was along the lines of, we see you, we're so proud to have you as a supporter, um and being a part of the family, and next time you come home, we'll take care of you and come to Anfield. And
No way.
dude, I like cried, like I couldn't believe it. Like that weirdly hit me more than most stuff, because I'm meeting actors and writers and directors and creatives. Yeah, I'm in the same building. I might be on, they're on the higher floors, but you're going to meet in the elevator, right? You're
Yeah.
going to bump into these people. But your favorite sports team, they don't need to reach out to me. Who gives a fuck, right? I have no contribute. I don't contribute anything to the sport world. You know, for my boyhood club, for my club, that to see that email address, and then to see the official like
Oh,
lettering and
dude.
all the stuff on there, man, I was just like, what the fuck? you know and I'm trying to I was going to send a tweet because I really want to find out, because this will blow me away. It's like, one of our players or our manager, someone must have watched Midnight Mass. They must have, right? Like there's 30 of them, unless they all just watch Squid Game. Someone must have watched Midnight Mass, and I just want to find out who did, and
Yeah.
just be like, I don't know, I fucking love you, man. Like, yeah. So, but that email, weirdly, I know that's not a party thing. No one's going to be like, cool. Um, I got to meet, like, my first Comic Con. I got to meet Jim Lee, and
Yeah.
we had dinner, afters, and I think Jim and I were drawing on napkins. And he was like, "Well, you do this and you do," and I was like, "What the fuck?"
What
Jim
is
Lee gave
happening?
me a drawing lesson, and like, um, oh, yesterday, it's yesterday, isn't it? I guess I can't process anything but yesterday. Yesterday was one of the greatest days of my life.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can tell it's not quite hitting yet. Like
Nah,
it's still in that surreal state.
I got my photos, and
Dude.
I dreamt about it. Oh my god, I dreamt about it.
Last night?
Yeah, I dreamt. That was what I dreamt. I dreamt that we were hanging out, continuing the hang. How fucking weird is that?
Holy shit.
That's how much that, like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's I mean the email you received is like a very intimate and straight to the heart, you know, uh experience. And I'd say it's on par with meeting Mark and working with him. It's just that sense of being a kid again, and
mm,
holding on to it, especially meeting him and working with him, and then this football club you supported since you were a kid. It's just it almost feels like it gives you anxiety because of our acting sense of imposter syndrome, where it's, well, if this is happening, I don't deserve it, something bad's
yeah,
going to happen, the
yeah,
universe needs balance. it's
yeah,
it's insane.
yeah.
um but you are working your ass off for this. You have been working your ass off for this, and it's coming to you as a fan, man. Like, you deserve everything that's happening right
Oh,
now.
thank you.
And it's just it's great hearing about that. Now I can't wait to see the fall of the House of Usher even more. It's just it just hearing all this stuff is just been a gift over the last year and a half since doing this podcast. And I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but do you have a piece of advice or something you could offer up to the listeners of this podcast, whether they're actors, or they're getting into the arts industry? Do you have any piece of advice for anybody listening right now?
Um, like, it's kind of cliched, but things are cliched because they're overused, and things are overused because there's probably some truth to them. um, you have to self-belief, man. Believe in yourself. And look, we are hard on ourselves, and I say the worst and treat myself the worst, and I'm bad for people who, for something that we all do. I'm on the really bad scale of being bad to myself. Um, but I still believe in myself,
Mm.
and I might not like my work. I might feel like I don't belong. I might feel like I'm not as good as the rest of anyone around me, or my performance could have been better. They could have got a better actor. And at the same time, I still believe I'm going to do everything I want to do, because that doesn't get in the way. That doesn't like, the mission doesn't change.
Yeah.
Even if I feel like I don't, the quality of my work, I can't, doesn't sit right with me. That's fine, because you know, it just spurs me on to attack the next one. I always feel like I'm throwing bricks. So, you know, I work harder to make sure that the next time I'm off the bench and I'm on the court, you know, I can sit. I'm gonna go for a 3-pointer, and so I always end up hating the match. I always end up hating the project, and I'm like, fuck, I didn't like it, I didn't like it. But then I work harder for the next one. So my point being is that like the two aren't like linked. So like you can be very hard on yourself and have imposter syndrome, and you can have all of that stuff, but you can still believe in yourself, right? But that shouldn't ever be taken away. Don't let the noise, don't let the feedback, don't let the bricks you've thrown, or watching people you like, even little things, right? Like you go up for a role, it's 2 lines, 3 lines, you don't get it, and then you see who got it, and you watch it, and they're shit, and you think, well, mine was, if they got it and they're shit, how shit am I?
Yeah.
Like, I must have been really shit. Cool, but back on the belief. It's this thing, man. It has to be unwavering, because it's tested and it's tested and it's tested. It's tested by auditions, it's tested by your landlord, it's tested by your partner, it's tested by your family, it's tested by your social group, it's tested by the industry, it's tested by the content you consume. You go and watch a movie. I remember being in that position where I'd go and watch a movie that inspired me, and at the same time that it inspired me, it bummed me out. It bummed me out because I'm not there,
Hmm.
and I don't even know if I could ever get there, but I want to be there. So it's always tested, man, and that's something that, like, that for me has got to be unwavering, because I hate myself, and I don't think I'm that good, and I don't, you know, if you'd seen me yesterday when I first went on set and stuff, I wasn't keen on anything, and despite everyone else's feedback, that's always going to be there. But I know I'm going to book. Don't worry about it. No matter how shit this is or the work I'm doing, I'm still gonna fucking power through all of this until I get to where I want to get to, and I achieve the things I want to achieve, because I believe in myself.
That's hard to do, man, especially in I guess in any everyday life, but even in this, unless you're a complete sociopath, you're not gonna, walk in and say, "Oh, crushed it."
Yeah,
There are
yeah,
some people for sure, but yeah, it's comforting to hear that that level of just staying humble. And like I'm gonna rock through it. It could suck, but you have people there that you trust to tell you like, "Hey, good job," or "Let's change it up a bit." It's just
yeah.
it's
I got one more
yeah.
piece of advice,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and this is the most important one, actually. This is for when you are working, and this is for when you are on set. Um, where I've noticed that celebrating pricks, it's had its time. The diva of Hollywood, the idea of treating your crew a certain way,
Oh god, yeah.
this prestige, this being problematic, um, but being so fucking talented that we're all going to turn around and not, but still work with you because you're who you are.
Yeah.
It's dying, and it's dying in the age of social media. It's dying because we talk more, we're more open about stuff, and you worked with someone and they were terrible, that can be corroborated by 50 other people immediately, and it could make the news that night. It never used to be like this. But more importantly, man, like Mike doesn't someone like, and I'm obviously I'm only using Mike because obviously I know him well enough and we worked together a few times. I'm sure this is for everyone, but I've noticed that yes, Mike likes to work with certain people. Now, Hamish Linklater, for instance, who we just did Midnight Mass with, who is a wonderful human, his performance is phenomenal. So performance is always going to be there. Mike wants to work with talented people. He wants to work with talented actors, but more importantly, because at this level, everyone's talented. Everyone's talented. These are all the 1%. These are the people who've pushed through, got the right role, had the experience. They've been doing stuff. Who gives a fuck at this point? That's something that we all share. You're good at what you do. You're good at what you do. You're good at, who cares? What isn't necessarily the common factor is how nice you are to work with. And that changes. And that becomes the currency, because cool, like you crushed your monologue, but then you're a fucking prick to the crew, or you're just a nightmare to work with and don't like your attitude. Talented people don't get called back for job number 2 because word spreads. And that to me is what I stand like. Yes, I'm not the most talented actor Mike has worked with or will ever work with. Just like everyone else, whatever, cool, you can act. But I treat everyone with respect. I don't fucking act up. I show up on time. I try and get everyone home as quick as I can, and I try not to indulge. If the director says that they think we got it on the first take, I show them trust, and I'm happy to move on so we can get moving with our day so we can get everyone home safely. That's why I get asked back. It's that and it's about attitude, and it's about how well you treat everyone around you. That is far more valuable than any fucking monologue. It just is.
Yeah, I'd say it helps, especially when you've worked as crew before.
Oh,
And
hell yeah.
you've dealt with those people. Being a PA
Yeah.
is awesome because you're on set, right? But you can work with pricks from time to time, if not, well, before it was more often than not. And then when you get the chance to be on set, like it's like working in the service industry, man. I think everybody should work in the service industry for at least a year. If you're going to be in the arts or in film, work as crew for maybe 2 years
I
and
agree.
just see what you can take. Yeah, man, that is the truest thing that could ever be said as far as like how to act on set. That's just fantastic. And if you don't feel like you're doing that on set and you're listening to this, like, just don't be an asshole.
Seriously, because I'm there,
Yeah.
and I now, I'm seeing how the sausage is made. So, like, I know the conversations around when someone's cast. I know the calls that are made, and I know the networking that happens, and I know that the calls are made and they go, what are they like? And this is before it's been offered. What are they like? They're amazing. Super sweet. Really? Cool. Fuck the talent.
Yeah.
Again, that comes without saying. I'm sure they can act. That it's that gets made, man. That call gets made, and it gets made on every level, because like I've worked with Canadian crews now for 8 years. So
oh, wow, man.
I know, and the thing is, I'm not fake nice. I'm just real. So yes, there have been days and times I am very quiet. So with a PA or a TAD or whoever, and I'm just like in my own head, and I'm like, headphones are in, they're ready for you. I'm never disrespectful. The most extreme I'll ever be is introvert, quiet, maybe secluded, because I'm fucking insecure and I'm trying to work things out. But it's never rude, it's never disrespectful, and it's always appreciative of anyone who's with you. That's the worst I get. And I know that crew talk to other crew and sets, and that has spread. So when I came on Bly, not only had Mike spoken to people I knew that I'd worked with on iZombie, the crews had spoken to the crews about what to expect. I'm not saying play a game, but it's nice to know that assholes are being called out for being assholes, and they're finding out. And like I said, like when you kill it, it's it. I really see the difference when everyone likes the actor that they worked with. When a showrunner or whatever's like, they were great. Not necessarily fucking around or making the crew laugh. No one gives a shit about that. Just about being efficient and polite and trying to make notes work and just being dope and being chill. Not asking for fucking selfies, not trying to like the old school way of it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I'm gonna make sure that I walk up to every producer and be like, hi, I'm Tom. No, just be cool, be sweet, be chill, and just don't be a dick to people. And I guarantee you the next one comes, then the next one, because they fucking talk. I know they talk because I've started talking. My best friend is in the Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, really?
Malcolm Goodwin is from iZombie, who played Clive Babineau. He's in the Fall of the House of Usher. That's not coincidence. That's because I love the man. He's my big brother.
Wow.
I put my reputation on the line. And I said, oh, like, I think this person's dope. Like, look at their work. Maybe think like you should work with them one day. If Malcolm acts like a prick, one, he's not coming back. And two, I look like a dickhead.
On you. Yeah.
So I don't recommend people. Because again, I don't care about the performance. Mike's doesn't care if you've just helped him discover the next Joaquin Phoenix. He wants to know that I'm going to have a nice, harmonious, creative set. And that's why, I know Mac can act, but I know that Mac is one of the dopest people, sweetest people on the planet, and he's a joy to work with. So yes, this is the person you should work with. And that's the currency when you are on set. Obviously, my believe in yourself is about
beforehand,
getting there, but take those experiences and keep that in mind, man. Like, it counts for way more than you think. It counts for way more than, holy crap, they used real tears. Like, no one fucking cares, man.
Yeah, it's funny looking back too, because I think the first time I was on a big set with all these big stars, I talked to the crew more than I talked to the actual stars until we got comfortable, and then it just became a conversation. And now, like, I can never let go of that. It's just being kind, talking to people, and then especially saying, hey, this person's the greatest. You should try them out, is a huge, like, wave of vulnerability to give to somebody. Like, I know it'll come back on me either way. So, let's see what happens. But I had no idea Malcolm was in the Fall of the House of Usher. So oh man, dude, it's just, I'm so pumped to see the show that had just started shooting. And I'm gonna have to wait like a year and a half. It's crap, but whatever. It is what it is. Coming from a fan, but I, before we kind of get to the tail end of the show, man, I want to say, like, thank you for your time and volunteering, your very shortened sleep schedule to come on here and talk while truck horns are blaring in your ears.
I know, it's ridiculous.
It's just it means a lot that you woke up to that shit, and now you're like, yeah, I'll talk for like 2 hours with this guy that I don't know. Why not? Let's try it out.
Well, it's because, like, don't fucking forget, man, like, I've been asked to talk about my career and to talk to someone about being in the industry. What would 2013 Rahul have said? Like, this is just as much of a gift doing this as yesterday was. It's all part of it, man. So it's like, I try to remind myself of that, because it is easy to get into routine and be like, no, podcast. Yeah, because I've got time for that. It's like, no, someone wants to talk to you, and that's a mark of the work that you've been doing, and that it's just as fucking special, just as fucking important. So thank you for having me on. It's and I sincerely, I'm rooting for you, man. Like, I really do champion. When I when I meet kids of famous actors on set, I can't connect with them. I'm like, cool, you got in because dad did this or whatever. But
Yeah.
when I hear like, you kind of feel for your own a little bit. So when it's like, yeah, I'm an actor, I've been trying for a few years, and I've got a few lines here, and I feel that journey and that story, and I want it for you just as much like as I wanted it for myself. So but sounds like you're doing the right things, man, and it will snowball. And just remember, like I said, man, it there was no, I wasn't playing with an advantage. I had the same tools as everyone else at that level, and it changed in a week. It went from the lowest. Remember that worst audition was Friday,
Yeah.
and then the sides for the new audition also was that Friday, and I signed the contract with Warner Brothers CW the following Friday. 7 days I went from broke, never even really had more than 2 lines on screen, to being one of the lead characters for a pilot. 7 days. That was the difference.
It's just
So
bonkers to
that's
think about.
yeah, and it can, it
Yeah.
really can. So to keep fucking doing it, man.
Yeah, that's my. I have it on sticking on my computer, and I have it on shirts, but it just says simply "Don't give up." It
No,
just keep going. And I have a journal for not just acting, but just life in general, and you know, seeing where I want to be in the next few years, and just being on set is one of them. I don't care what it is, like just being there, and I don't know, especially after like talking to you. I can only imagine how great it would be to work with you on a set sometime in the future and just, be like, hey, remember I had that podcast that you did like 10 years ago? It was just, hey, now we're doing this. So beat the
let's do
shit out of
it.
me because you're the Schwarzenegger of this movie. Like,
Let's do it, man. I'd love that.
um, so yeah, man, it is a gift to have you on, and it's just nice to know there's people out there. It's not, um, when I reach out, it's not meant to be, hey, this is for our publicity. I started this because I wanted to see how my friends were doing during COVID, fellow actors and writers. And it's just grown into like, getting you and Carrie Jones, and we're getting somebody else this next week that I never thought we'd get.
Mm.
So it's crazy how, like you said, it snowballs. But yeah, before we go, I have two things.
Okay.
Well, I guess three. One, I have to ask you what we can promote on this episode. Two, I need to tell everybody to rate us on Apple Podcasts because that's what you have to do. And three, we're gonna do an awkward goodbye to tail end the episode.
Okay.
That it's just a lot of fun to do. So yeah, what would you like us to promote in this episode? If there's anything in particular you want us to give a shout out to.
I don't know. Midnight Mass, I guess.
Yeah,
Someone else's show. Maybe if you thought, maybe Book of Boba Fett or something. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't. Yeah, like my stuff's a long time away from coming out. So Midnight Mass is obviously the last thing that came out, and we're very proud of. So if you haven't checked out Midnight Mass, do. It's a great show, and it has some of the best performances of the year from my co-stars.
Oh, that's completely true. If you haven't seen Midnight Mass, get on it, man. Like seriously, it came out in September of last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's
only 7 eps.
Yeah, 7 episodes. What, 7 hours, maybe less. For your time.
Hours.
Yeah, get into it, and yeah, if you like the show, please rate us. Hopefully 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. It can only help us. And if you do give us 5 stars, we'd love to send you a sticker just as a thank you. So please email us at pwrp.pod@gmail.com to let us know what your address is, and we can send it to you. Also, if you are a member of the arts industry, whether you are starting out or you're a veteran or somebody who's just trying to, keep it going in uncertain times like this, send us an email to the exact same address at pwrp.pod@gmail.com. And buddy, you also get a thank you card and a sticker for coming on. So that's something I can email your reps about, seeing where we can send it.
Sure.
Might include a dorky doodle of the Mandalorian or some dorky.
Oh, sweet.
Shit.
Okay. Got my fridge.
Yeah, that's something I started doing, but Yeah, before I stop recording, man, the last 30 seconds of this show, it's all
Mm,
about an awkward goodbye. So I do the Wayne's World countdown, five, four,
mm.
three, two, one, point to you, and then you give us your best verbal awkward goodbye. It could be nonverbal too, since we're doing this on video as well. But
Okay.
if you think you're ready for that, it's like the acting opportunity of a lifetime.
I'm gonna try not to
We're
overthink it.
good. All right, let's give it a shot. In.
Um, yeah. Hold on. Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks a lot for having me, James. Yeah. I What?